Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the LitRPG podcast, episode number 223 of the show. I'm Ramon Mejia, I'm here to bring you the latest LitRPG news, reviews, and of course author interviews each and every week. We have lots of great reviews for you to enjoy, and this week is no different. We only have a couple this week though. Read some rather larger books, each over 500 pages, and then it's going to include Life Reset, Human Resource, New Era Online book number 4 in that series, and Brightblade, a LitRPG adventure, UnderVerse book number 1, both doing really well on Amazon and in sales right now. So congratulations, guys. Before we get into any of that, though, we're going to go into LitRPG news. And in LitRPG news, we got only a couple stories here. One for sales, only got a couple sales for you, including Rogue Dungeon, book number 1 in that particular series. The latest book in that series is out now as a free to enjoy. It just came out this last couple days, and so the putting book 1 up on sale for 99 cents. Also out for free right now is the Game is Life book number 1, which is different than the one by Cosmo Yap. This is different, but hey, free for LitRPG is always nice. In other LitRPG news, the latest novel by Ramon Mejia, this guy right here, is up for pre-order. It stars a mechanical man or a metal man, lots of crafting, dungeon diving, world building, and it's set in a world where magic and turn-of-the-century technology meet. Join a pair on its adventure in this magic industrial world, out on May the 8th, 2020, so it's up for pre-order. It's the latest book that I'm putting out. It's doing a pre-order once to see if it impacts anything. Give you guys plenty of time to look it up, plan your schedule if you want to pick it up. Also, I'm using a new kind of linking system called Unilink, which actually, when you click on it, it'll send you to your local Amazon page. So no more having to search things and type for them to set up those orders. And I'll be talking about this more, but man, I love that cover art. My cover artist has been amazing, and her provisions are just absolutely great. Like this is better than I could have ever imagined based upon like the weird little descriptions I give her to do that cover. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I enjoyed writing it. I'm already almost finished through the first draft of the second book, so this is a continuing series, so hopefully you enjoy it. On to stuff that is out now for you to enjoy. It's going to include After Apocalypse, Dungeons Perdition book number 3, Winter Harvest is out, Rogue Evolution, which is the 4th book in the Rogue Dungeon series. Rise and Rescue Volume 2, Protect and Recover is out. This was actually not strictly LitRPG entirely. It's also sci-fi fantasy stories included in there. Literally just happens to be some of the stories. And apparently all the proceeds for these short story collections are going to charity. So there you go. Also out though is Derelict book number 1, Repel Borders, a LitRPG Dungeon Core adventure. So something a little bit different. Sci-fi dungeon core. And Legends Online book number 5. So there you go. Not a ton coming out this week for ebooks, but you got, I believe, 12 audiobooks for you to enjoy, for you audiophiles who love LitRPG. You got a lot to choose from this week on how to spend your credits. And that includes War Eternus book number 5, The End of the Faithful, which is the end of that series. I liked it. It was enjoyable. Definitely go check it out. Also, Winter Harvest, which came out as an ebook, audiobook, released the exact same day, so good for them. World at War, The Grayster Chronicles book number 5, out as well for you to enjoy. Dungeon Configure book number 1 is out as an audiobook. The 7th book in the Good Guy series is out. Legends Online book number 2 out as an audiobook. Second Skin book number 2 as well. And Gathering Strength, Character Development book number 2 by Aaron J. Another wonderful, delightful book is out for you to enjoy. Also out as an audiobook is The Dimensional War, Javenica, and the 3rd book of Enora Online, also out as an audiobook called The Plague Barons, and Kaiju Battlefield Sergeant by Matt Dinman, author of the Dominion Blade series. This one is definitely a little bit different. It's kaiju monsters battling each other with like horror elements, and there's definitely a lot of fighting, but there are also some of the most creepy, weird, kind of gross scenes that I've read. And I personally love the weirdness of it, but it is not for everybody. And like I said, there are definitely some weird, if you like horror films, if you like those kind of slasher films, and you like that kind of gore stuff, mixed in with the kaiju LitRPG kind of systems, this is definitely for you. But there's some cool things. I would definitely read the novel description before you pick it up. I liked it. I give it an 8 out of 10 actually. This one also is out as well. The Dungeon Core Escape by Jonathan Brooks. So Dungeon Core stuff has been Jonathan Brooks staple for a little bit now, and this one did pretty well. So there you go. On to stuff that's coming out in the near future. And that includes on April 27th, Cryo Night. April 29th is This Guardian book number 4. April 29th as well, Player Reaches the Top book number 3. New to the list on April the 30th is going to be Awakened, book 1 in the Quintessence, an epic cultivation literary saga by C.M. Carney. This is C.M. Carney's new series. He's trying to combine cultivation and LitRPG and of course action adventure stuff. Great cover. We'll have to wait and see what the actual book is, but it's going to be out in a little less than a week, so his writing has always been enjoyable. On May the 1st, competing with that book is going to be the Completionist Chronicles book number 5 called Ruthless by Dakota Kraut. May 5th is going to be A Barren Quest, the Blood Crown book number 2. May the 8th is going to be the 3rd book in the Arcane Online Chronicles series, the 4th book in that series rather. On May the 8th, it'll be The Mechanical Crafter by yours truly. So be out May the 8th. Definitely go check that out, please. On May the 12th, it'll be Eternal Online book number 1, Shattered Sword. This one's always weird. The audiobook has been out for weeks, but the ebook for some reason is still sticking to that pre-order of May the 12th. May the 17th, Gloominess +4. May the 17th, Biomedical Self-Engineering book number 1. May 20th, Challenger's Call book number 5. May 20th, this is new to the list. It's a new series from Vasily Manko, author of the Way of the Shaman series, called City of the Dead, The Alchemist, book number 1. It's actually what's supposed to be a continuation of another series that just ended. The one where it was if I'm mistaken, it was an RPG apocalypse story set on Earth, and that arc ended, and he's sent to a different world. And I'm assuming this is the same character, but again, all the rules and mechanics are different. So it's hopefully going to get a different vibe, but it's a continuation of a different series in this different kind of story-ish universe. So I'm not sure what to think of it, but I've always enjoyed everything from Vasily Manko anyways. On May 22nd, that'll be the 2nd book in the Space Season series. May 28th, it'll be Legendary Dungeon Seed. May 31st, the 4th book in the Glory of Formation Emperor series. June the 4th, the 9th book in the Good Guy series. June the 9th, it'll be Reality Benders book number 6. July the 1st, System Apocalypse book number 9. July the 8th, Product Stellar book number 2. July the 14th, The Watcher's Test, Life in Exile book number 1. Remember, book number 1 in that series. Actually, I think this is supposed to be book number 2. They actually put the tag on there. Sorry. So Watcher's Question. I actually might have grabbed the wrong title then. Sorry. But anyways, that 2nd book in that series is out on July the 14th. July 31st, it'll be Era of Justice, book number 1 in the Vindication 2.0 series. August the 8th, it'll be The Bad Guys, book number 4. And August the 18th, it'll be Intellectium. So there we go. All the stuff that's coming out in the near future for you guys to enjoy. On to new releases and reviews. Okay, first up this week is going to be Life Reset, Human Resources, New Era Online book number 1, written by Shimer Kuznets. It is 547 pages, a massive novel, $5.99. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. Here's the author's description. The VI's revolt succeeded. The digital beings took over the game world and ejected millions of players while keeping a few thousand trapped inside as their prisoners. In the real world, Oren Berman is recovering from the mental trauma of being trapped, tortured, and abruptly ejected. But the company has come to him hand in hand, asking him to re-enter the game world. With the entire NPC population arrayed against the trapped players, Oren and his clan of monsters might be their only hope. So there you go. The 3rd book in the series really did a good job of, in my opinion, ending that initial arc of the series. Book 4 takes a little bit to get back into because it's starting and developing an entirely new story arc where the virtual intelligence in the story world, the AIs are taken over. So like this entire game world has advanced like multiple years because of time dilation. And so the main character is jumping back in, and he of course has severe hesitation because he was trapped before. And so the author has to kind of redevelop what this story is going to be, because it's not a trapped in a game story anymore. So what is it going to be? And so a lot of the first part of the story is really that development explanation of, oh, what is this going to turn into now? And what new like relationship between the real world and the game world is going to exist for the main character. And so it does take a little bit to get into it. But once it does, it feels very familiar. It's very good. You have a lot of the same main characters and secondary characters from the last story arc in the series, and it really does kind of feel like an expansion pack to a game that you've already kind of beaten, since you know kind of the fundamentals of how the system works. Maybe some of the game rules have changed, but it's a fun story with familiar characters that you already like. So in this particular novel, it continues the good action imagery. It actually kind of reminds me a lot more of the first book in the series, just because it returns to town building, min severing, lots of action, and a little bit of conquering. That people have come to really enjoy. And in this case, even though there is town building and resource management, there's not the same kind of tedium that would have happened with some of the other books, and that not much time is devoted to resource gathering. Because again, it's one of the mechanics of the story that the actual game has advanced a lot more than real time has. So there's a little bit of wander of Venice to get the resources for this town, which is kind of neat because the author really does kind of logically explore some of the consequences of like just a town kind of running on automatic and how much resource it would build up, in addition to like the changes to the game world over a reasonable period of time. So it's a nice little exploration there. But I had a great time with it. Really enjoyable. Gets a score of 7.8 out of 10. Nothing super new in the series, but it's doing what it does very well. That's Life Reset Human Resource New Era Online, book number 4. Really enjoyed it with a score of 7.8 out of 10 again. And next we have Brightblade, a LitRPG adventure, UnderVerse, book number 1 by Jez Kajio. It is 465 pages. It is $4.99. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. Here's the author's description. A realm aside from our own is the center of the realities, home to every spectrum of magic, from the beautiful to the terrible. It was all held in delicate balance by the eternal emperor and his children. For 10,000 years, the empire was the bastion that protected the sentient races from the darkness. But the revolution changed all that. Jack is just a regular guy. He has a crappy job and a good thing with a girl. The problem is, he also has a bit of a messy past. So when he's offered the chance to do a little job instead of jail time, he jumps at it. Jail would have been the better choice. Welcome to the Underverse. Please keep your limbs inside the card at all times. The creatures of the night are forever hungry. So this is a dark fantasy containing sexual references, violence, and swearing. There is no actual sex in this story, though, so don't have to worry about that. There's kind of a few thirsty characters. This is an action-filled fantasy LitRPG story that feels like a bit like an online serial that put on all the major hits of the genre. It has fight tournaments. It has a base building. It has transported to an RPG game world, crafting, and a thirsty fairy companion. The big draw is going to be all the action in the story. That's really is kind of the big thing. Like, there's hardly a chapter in this novel without some good fighting, essentially. And whether it's survival training, or it's like combat training, or it's living and tournament fighting, or monster fighting while killing his base, like action is the thing for the story. All the RPG stuff does exist in the novel. There's character sheets, skill sheets, magic stats. The main character has a spell sword class and uses magic weapons. But like the first quarter about quarter to 30% of the novel, all those game mechanic stuff, it's a little more pushed to the background. And that's just because that's just the setup of the novel before he actually gets to the actual full-on RPG world. But it's still enjoyable, and they still exist as like things. But again, it's a little more muted. But after the 100% mark, bam, just huge amounts of character development, build theory, base building stuff, crafting quests, notifications galore, all kinds of really good stuff there. Overall, it's a fun story, fun action story specifically. Lots of fights, lots of RPG aggression after a certain point. And a lot of people really enjoyed it. I'm one of them. Gets a score of 7.6 out of 10. That is Brightblade, a LitRPG adventure, UnderVerse, book number 1, with a score of 7.6 out of 10. And there you go, folks. That's it. Just 2 reviews this week for you. Just trying to get this novel launch taken care of and done. And it's next week. What is it? 4, I think, of the quarantine mustache experiment. So there we go. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, our webpage if you want to follow our progress and our weekly list of LitRPG titles that are released every week. We actually have a newsletter there as well that we send on a weekly basis to send them to your email. If you want to sign up for that, we'll send you information about new stuff that comes out every week. So thanks a lot. Remember, if there's you want to support the podcast in any way, shape, or form and help keep us free and ad free, you can find out all the ways to do so at litrpgpodcast.com/support. Again, thanks for hanging out with me today, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope we can hang out again. But until we can, remember to go read some LitRPG. Goodbye, everybody.